Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. The big story that we are tracking at the top of this hour, the Union Cabinet on Wednesday unanimously approved the Kovind panel's report on simultaneous polls. This taking a step towards what will be a major electoral reform to hold elections for the Lok Sabha and state assemblies together. But the opposition, it has hit out with Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, calling it an election gimmick and saying that people will not accept it, as others questioned the need for such a move. The government, in the meanwhile, has hit back, saying it would help the country, and 80% of those who were consulted, they in fact supported this move.
One nation, one election के लिए देश को आगे आना होगा.
A clear intent put in motion a day after the Modi 3.0 completes 100 days. The cabinet approved the One Nation, One Election proposal, also coinciding with the first phase of assembly polls in Jammu and Kashmir.
High-level committee recommendations on One Nation, One Election. Those recommendations have been accepted today by the Union Cabinet.
The go-ahead comes 6 months after a high-level committee chaired by former President Ram Nath Kovind submitted its report on the One Nation, One Election plan to the President of India. The opposition was quick to hit out at what the government termed as a unanimous decision. One Nation, One Election, the Kovind panel consultations, 47 parties responded, 32 parties in favor, 15 parties in opposition.
ये सिर्फ चुनाव जब बात है, कोई ना कोई कुछ मुद्दा नहीं मिल रहा उनको, ऐसी चीजें बात करने के लिए, इश्यू को डाइवर्ट करने के लिए वो बात करते हैं.
One Nation, One Election was a thought which was announced well before the general elections of 2024. So anybody who's saying that it because of the election results have actually given us a historic mandate, and that's why we are able to take such historic decisions.
And it isn't just the timing that is being questioned. Questions are being raised on the government's claim that 80% of the respondents in the consultative process supported the move.
देश में करीब 80% of the respondents who responded during the consultation process, 80% से ज़्यादा लोगों ने इसको बहुत positive support दिया है.
80%, which 80%? Where do they belong to? Did they come to me? Did they come to ordinary people? The rickshaw pullers, the vendors?
The cabinet nod is just the first step in what is a long winding process. Step 1, amend 5 other articles of the Constitution. Step 2, bill must be passed in Parliament with 2/3 majority. Step 3, amend the 1951 Representation of People's Act. Step 4, 50% of the states must pass the bill. Implementing One Nation, One Election requires 2/3 majority in Parliament, since it involves several amendments of the Constitution. While the NDA has a simple majority in both houses of Parliament, getting 2/3 of majority in either house could prove a challenge. Of the 245 seats in Rajya Sabha, the NDA has 112, the opposition parties 85. For a 2/3 majority, the government needs at least 164 votes. Even in the Lok Sabha, the NDA has 292 of the 545 seats. The 2/3 majority mark stands at 364. There are two opinions about One Nation, One poll. The opposition is vehement in its opposition, saying it is detrimental to the democratic as well as the federal structure. The government, on its part, believes that with consultation, it will be able to explain that administrative costs and timing is critical for the country in nation building. With camera person Prem, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
कहीं विधानसभा का चुनाव हो रहा है, कहीं लोकसभा का चुनाव हो रहा है, कभी मिड टर्म पोल हो रहा है, कभी कुछ हो रहा है. पूरा प्रशासन और पूरा जो पारामिलिट्री से लेके पूरा जिला प्रशासन का जो फोर्स है, पुलिस व्यवस्था, वो सारी व्यवस्था चुनाव में लग जाती है. इससे सबसे बड़ा असर पड़ता है कानून व्यवस्था. हमारी देश की सुरक्षा से समझौता हम करते हैं. अब कोई अगर विरोध कर रहा है इसका, तो उसका राजनीतिक कोई विरोध का कारण नहीं बता रहा.
Well, a big accusation from the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister, the TDP chief, Chandrababu Naidu. He has accused the previous YSRCP government of desecrating the Tirumala-Tirupati temple. Chandrababu, he called out the previous Jagan Mohan Reddy-led government for allegedly compromising the sanctity of the famed Tirumala Prasad. Now, Mr. Naidu, he claimed that during the Jagan Mohan Reddy's tenure, the revered Tirumala laddus, which is considered sacred by the devotees, they were prepared using animal fat instead of ghee. So a big accusation coming from the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister. In fact, my colleague Uma Sudhir has more details on this.
A rather shocking revelation made by the Chief Minister, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. He was addressing NDA's elected representatives in Amaravati when he made this comment, saying that during the time of the YSRCP government, he says, not just poor quality materials, but even animal fat may have been used for preparing laddu, and that it had violated the sanctity of the Tirupati laddus itself. And he mentioned that after the NDA has come to power, they have ensured that high quality ghee is used. Of course, there is a controversy earlier about the use of Nandini ghee, which was being brought in from Karnataka for use for the Tirupati laddus. And subsequently now a revelation like this has been reacted to by the YSRCP, Mr. Y.V. Subbareddy, who was in fact formerly heading the TTD. He has said that he is ready to swear on God, saying that nothing like that has ever transpired, and he has challenged Mr. Naidu to say whether he is willing to stick by his words and take such an oath before Lord Venkateshwara.
Well, the latest from Lebanon now, and Israel's alleged attack on the Hezbollah, where 12 people had died, thousands were injured after pagers which were fitted with explosives, they blew up on Tuesday altogether after a coded message was sent. And now multiple reports of fresh blasts are coming in, apparently on walkie-talkies this time. Everyone who has lithium-ion battery communication devices, they have been asked to turn them off immediately and not approach them, take them into Lebanon. Also, local social networks, they have reported that household appliances are exploding, scooters are on fire, and home security systems are also malfunctioning.
I think it's very important to take profit of this week for a number of contacts aiming at the escalation of the situation in Lebanon. And I think that what has happened is particularly serious, not only because of the number of victims that it caused, but because of the indications that exist that this was triggered, I would say, in advance of the normal way to trigger these things, because there was a risk of this being discovered. Because obviously the logic of making all these devices explode is to do it as a preemptive strike before a major military operation. This event confirms that there is a serious risk of a dramatic escalation in Lebanon, and everything must be done to avoid that escalation.
What we have observed is that the vast majority of injuries are actually injuries to the face and to the hand. We've seen a lot of people who have practically lost their eyesight, and also probably the use of one of their hands at least. The spectrum of the patients coming to the emergency room was wide. We've seen children, including two have died, an 8-year-old girl and a 11-year-old boy. We've seen also people who are elderly. But we've also seen people from different spectrums of professions. Some of them were healthcare workers who were carrying pagers, and some of them were, doing other things.
With regard to Lebanon, the United States did not know about, nor was it involved in these incidents, and we're still gathering the information and gathering the facts. Broadly speaking, we've been very clear, and we remain very clear, about the importance of all parties avoiding any steps that could further escalate the conflict that we're trying to resolve in Gaza.
And Jammu and Kashmir saw the first phase of assembly elections, which passed off peacefully with a voter turnout of about 60%. Voting was held in 24 out of the 90 constituencies across both Kashmir and Jammu divisions, with 8 assembly constituencies in the Jammu division and 16 in the Kashmir division, with 219 candidates in the fray. My colleague Nazir Masoodi gets us more details.
Peaceful polling in a relaxed atmosphere. Some places very brisk polling, some places it was moderate polling. Highest polling was recorded in Kishtwar district 77% and lowest in Pulwama district 46%. But the way it started, people were waiting in long queues for their turn to cast their vote. In the first assembly elections after a gap of 10 years, people made their statement. There were 219 candidates, 40% of them were independents. As we could observe during the day, it doesn't appear that what was feared that the independents may cut votes, it may divide the votes, it may do something. It appears that the traditional parties appear to be holding the fort. They're holding the sway in these elections, who wins or loses. It doesn't appear that, independents have made much difference in this election. It was a fascinating elections on the both sides of Pir Panjal, south and the north of Pir Panjal mountains, be it in Kishtwar, Doda, Ramban or Anantnag, Kulgam, Pulwama. And there were people who, participate today by boycotting these elections. For example, Jamaat Islami, which was fountainhead of militancy and the separatism in Jammu and Kashmir, their members were participating even as Jamaat remained as a banned organization under UFPA.
Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. On the completion of the Modi 3.0 government today, Centre has a very significant step towards addressing the challenges faced by the people of Manipur, who have been enduring prolonged unrest for over 16 months. The Union Ministry of Home Affairs, it has launched a program to provide essential commodities at affordable prices. Both communities, they have welcomed this move. Will this help the government win trust for starting a larger peace-building process?
People queuing up to buy essentials at discounted prices at Manipur's Torbung, a buffer area between the Meitei community-dominated Bishnupur district and the Kuki-Zomi tribe-dominated Churachandpur district, which was the epicenter of last year's ethnic violence. The CRPF unit posted here has a new task at hand to roll out these mobile canteens, a key decision by the Modi 3.0 government after 100 days in power, to enable the violence-hit people in Manipur to purchase essentials at subsidized price from canteens of central forces.
We will organize this canteen on wheels in all the villages, which is falling in our area of responsibility. All type of daily use items, soap, soaps, Horlicks, like daily uses items.
Is the first welcome step toward building a good support with the local population. Considering the hardship that people in the buffer zone face, it is our appeal that such welfare program us conduct more frequently.
It has been since 2006 that Ministry of Home Affairs have opened up these kind of canteens where the Central Armed Forces personnel can buy essential supplies at a concessional price, but this time in a unique way, Centre has opened up access to these canteens for the civilians, for the local populations of Manipur, particularly in the fringe areas between the valley region of Manipur and the hills, where since last year there have been massive violence and even now there have been escalations, and these people have faced not only violence but also price rise, given the fact due to violence prices of essential commodities in Manipur have skyrocketed.
Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India has approved for extension of Kendriya Police Kalyan Bandar facility to the local residents of Manipur by providing KB goods. There are 16 new outlets, 8 each in valley, 8 in the hills.
The centre has opened up similar canteens in the valley region too, that have seen a recent escalation of violence with a dozen deaths. The state government has also launched 16 mobile sales units providing essential items.
मणिपुर के सिचुएशन की वजह से हर दुकान का कोई सामान लेने में कोई दाम महंगा है, कोई भी चीज़ लेने में दूर जाना पड़ता है, नज़दीक में नहीं मिलता है। तो अभी ये जो कैंटीन का जो भी है, बीएसएफ का जो कैंटीन खुला है, इसका जो अंदर का जो भी सामान है अभी ये सस्ता में मिलेंगे, घर का भी काम बढ़िया चलाएगा।
While the victims of months of violence in Manipur from both communities have welcomed this move by Centre, will this help the government win trust for starting a larger peace-building process in the state? With BM Sanjoy in Lamlai and K. Mangte in Kanwai, Ratndeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
A new Chinese heliport is being constructed 20 kilometers east of the line of actual control near the sensitive Fishtails region of Arunachal Pradesh. This may give Chinese armed forces the ability to speedily move in military resources into an underdeveloped remote area along the Indo-Chinese frontier. While the heliport lies within the Chinese territory that India does not dispute, its presence may be deeply problematic. My colleague Vishnu Shom has this exclusive report.
Well, the heliport, images of which you see here, lies along the banks of the Gongribabu River in the Tibetan Autonomous Region. This is within Chinese territory that India does not dispute. Before we share more details, this is the area. And let's go to the next page that we're actually talking about. And this is actually east of the sensitive Fishtails region in Arunachal Pradesh. And what you see over here are Indian air bases in the region in Arunachal Pradesh, in Assam as well. And these are Chinese bases which they have in the region. And this is where the new Chinese heliport has been constructed. But let's move to another image of this, because this is all in that very, very sensitive Fishtail 2 region. Now, this is in the far east of Arunachal Pradesh on the frontier with China. You can see the position of the new heliport. You can see the Fishtail 2 region and the Fishtail 1 region. It's called Fishtail because it's distinctive in this region. This is close to where, just 20 kilometers across in their territory, the Chinese have constructed this particular facility. And you've got many more details over here. What we're looking at over here are the hangars. Now, 3 of these hangars have already been constructed. There is a 4th which is being constructed over here. And there'll be 3 further hangars which are being constructed in this particular area. The air traffic control is going to be set up over here as well. We've got the apron area. And it is on this apron area in the bottom that you're going to have helicopters which are actually positioned. Let's go to the next image, which actually shows you the runway. So this is just south of what I was showing you. You've got 2 parallel taxiways over here. You've got this 600-meter runway, which is in the process of being constructed. This actually enables rolling takeoffs by helicopters in mountainous areas such as this. Helicopters sometimes roll for a takeoff because power available to them is actually lower. The next image actually shows you all of this. Now, right on top, the blue structures over there are the work sheds where work on this is actually taking place. It's just been in the last 9 months that all of this has taken place. The Chinese constructing at a very, very fast pace. The hangars that I told you about, the runway below it, and of course, this is 20 kilometers from the line of actual control. Again, this is an area that India doesn't dispute. But let's bring you a few more details on why this is significant. Now, this is significant because over a period of time, the Chinese have been salami slicing into territory all across the frontier. They've been threatening the frontier in many senses. And while this is in an undisputed area, India needs to deal with the Chinese infrastructure build up on our sides. How exactly is India doing that? We are doing it through the Vibrant Villages Development Project. So if we move to this, this is announced by Amit Shah. It's the Vibrant Villages project, which targets 3,000 villages, not just in Arunachal Pradesh, but 4 states across the northeast of the country. 4,800 crore rupees has been allotted for the first phase of this project. And also separately, there is a 2,400 kilometer trans-Arunachal highway that is being completed that drastically reduces travel time, particularly in parts of eastern Arunachal Pradesh. But let's just go back one more time to the image that we are talking about. This has already been constructed. It represents a formidable infrastructure build-up in an area which has typically been underdeveloped. I'm talking once again about that fishtails region on the very east of Arunachal Pradesh. How will India counter this? That needs to be seen.